My voice shalt thou hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee, and will look up. Psalm 5, verse 3. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. He that giveth unto the poor shall not lack, but he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse. Proverbs chapter 28, verse 27. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23, verse 6. But to do good and to communicate forget not, for with such sacrifices God is well pleased. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 16. How that in a great trial of affliction the abundance of their joy and their deep poverty abounded under the riches of their liberality. 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 2. Submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21. Be ye therefore followers of God, as dear children, and walk in love, as Christ also hath loved us, and hath given himself for us an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet-smelling savor. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 1 to 2. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 12. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord. Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 17. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you, with all malice. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31. Who gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from all iniquity, and purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works. Titus chapter 2, verse 14. A wrathful man stirreth up strife, but he that is slow to anger appeaseth strife. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 18. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. Psalm 46, verse 10. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Isaiah chapter 53, verse 3. This Jesus hath God raised up, whereof we are all witnesses. Acts chapter 2, verse 32. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. James chapter 1, verse 5. For he hath made him to be sin for us, who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21. I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. Psalm 16, verse 8. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Matthew chapter 6, verse 34. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5. He that followeth after righteousness and mercy findeth life, righteousness, and honor. Proverbs chapter 21, verse 21. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 8. For I say through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. Romans chapter 12, verses 3 to 13. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Psalm 37, verse 4. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. Cast me not off in the time of old age. Forsake me not when my strength faileth. Psalm 71, verse 9. The Lord will perfect that which concerneth me. Thy mercy, O Lord, endureth forever. Forsake not the works of thine own hands. Psalm 138, verse 8. But if any provide not for his own, and specially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith, and is worse than an infidel. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations, and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 4 to 5. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might, for there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave, whither thou goest. Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 10. Preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all longsuffering and doctrine. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 2. But your iniquities have separated between you and your God, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear. Isaiah chapter 59, verse 2. And if ye call on the Father, who without respect of persons judgeth according to every man's work, pass the time of your sojourning here in fear. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 17.